Yeah, that's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks, to we got to talk about it. We're talking about everything on the upside. We have an obligation to talk about this as well. What could go wrong for the Irish in 2025? Good time to get into it before spring ball edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps John out as well. Notifications on any way you don't miss nothing. Twitter search bar Always Irish or Always Irishing. Audio only, anywhere you want it, you can get it. Don't want to see my face? Nobody blames you. Call in lines 312-988-15. Dialed up. Tell Uncle Yanni boy all you've heard and seen. Notre Dame Fighting Irish brought to you by SI. Read all about it. Patreon.com/Always Irish. Former captain, leading tackler Mike Goolsby and myself breaking it all down. Again, sincere thank you to those that stick around year-round on the Patreon. We got fun stuff coming to you this offseason. All right. We're in a weird time of the year, Notre Dame people. It's just, you add the heightened excitement of every game from week 2 on last year being playoff drama, playoff intensity. Every game mattered that much when you had that one loss in week 2 and you felt like you couldn't lose again. You rode that stress level and importance of every game all the way out. Then you hit the playoff and it ramped up tenfold. We were all so amped up for all this time. And then it ends. And it ends quite unceremoniously, unfortunately. So I feel like everybody needed a little downtime after the Ohio State game to kind of let their mind and their emotions and their nerves settle. I needed that. I was running on fumes, running on empty in my brain, in my heart, in my emotions. Let that settle down a little bit. Get your feet back under you. And now I'm desperate for football again. I am beyond that time, and now I'm antsy to get it all cranked up again. It's fun and it's easy to think about the plus side. What could go right? What could this look like or whatever? Let's go over a few things that could go wrong next year. Number 1, injuries again. It was a huge story of 2024. Al Golden, who's been doing this for like 40 years, is like, yeah, I've never seen anything like this. I don't understand why all of our guys' legs are chopped off. Is it bad luck? Is there stuff we should be doing or not doing with training? Like when you are an outlier, to the extent Notre Dame was, everybody's going to have injuries. But when you're a noticeable outlier of how many more you have than anybody else, you got to look into everything. Your training, what you're doing, what you're not. I still say you got to look into those cleats. Like, whatever, man. Whatever. And if you do all that, you decide it was just a bad luck year, that's what you decide. But when you are an outlier to the extent we were in the injury category, you got to take a deep dive because you can't operate that way. So whatever, man. Injuries again. You have 9 guys on the D-line out and your whole offensive line and whatever. So frustrating. Number 2. The defense takes a step or 2 back under Chris Ash. Ain't nobody here for that. Ain't nobody here for this. You cannot let the strongest part of your team not be that anymore. There's a standard now for this defense that must be upheld regardless of the name of the guy that's running it. Now, I'm not saying I'm predicting a Chris Ash defense to regress or whatever. All I'm saying is I know what I was going to get out of Al Golden. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Ash, and that causes me anxiety. This is not a home run, guaranteed winning, higher, like everything's going to be fine. It isn't that. So, no, I'm not saying, I'm sure it's going to be bad or regress or whatever. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there's uncertainty now that didn't exist last year because you don't have Al Golden and he had a proof of concept. And what does that look like if there's regression or why or whatever? I don't know, but I don't want to find out either. But that's on my list because it's just an unknown now that nobody knows how it's going to go. Where before it on that side of the ball, you knew exactly what you're going to get. You knew it was going to be pretty good. Number 3, you either pick the wrong starting quarterback or the right starting quarterback, but there's a really tough learning curve as the starter that crumbles everything you want to do in 2025. I don't know what to tell you. It's a risk. It's a risk. So follow me here. You either pick the wrong guy and it becomes obvious to you down the road, and that's a problem, or you pick the right guy, the guy that should win the job or does win the job or whatever. But there's such a tough learning curve for the new quarterback and the tough beginning part of the schedule that we have. All your big games are on the front half. If that guy's not up to speed early enough to win a bunch of those games, you're out of the playoff and you're not even halfway. You're not even near Halloween and you're out of the playoff if that goes bad. Can't happen. Can't happen. You didn't go to the portal. We're staying in-house. I think most people are okay with that, but it's got to be good enough. So you better figure out what you're going to do. Pick the right guy and support him the right way, or you could be out of the playoff after two games. 3 weeks, 2 games. So it's dangerous. Dangerous. So that is a big deal, and you got to know what you're doing and pick right and support the guy you pick. And I mean, pick like they earn it. I know that, but it's got to be good enough. However you arrive to a decision at this quarterback thing, it's got to be good enough to win these games. Number 4, the wide receivers still aren't difference makers at all. It makes life way harder on the new quarterback that's inexperienced. You're not getting enough help from the wide receivers. That's still a problem. Everybody knows you can't throw the ball, got nobody to throw it to. Everybody could just stack the line and stop the Notre Dame running game. Then you're in trouble with the new young quarterback, whoever it's going to be. This is going to be another year where some people are going to say, oh, the wide receiver room's going to be way better this time. It's going to be a real unit that instills fear in the defense. And they're not going to be able to creep up to the line of scrimmage with their safeties and run downhill to stop the run with no fear of the ball getting behind them, whatever. You can tell me that all you want, write it all you want, put it on a YouTube video all you want. I'll believe it only when I see it against freaking Miami and Texas A&M. And I won't believe it a second sooner. I am sick of this unit not being good enough. Okay? I will believe it only when I see it, when it matters. Get behind A&M a few times, get behind Miami a few times, and I'll start looking at you different. Till then, weakness on the team. For the past 10 years and counting, I'm sick of it. Son of a buck. Just how hard is it to be Notre Dame and have a real passing game? Number 5, the offensive line gels, but it comes too late. Again, I keep going over this with Notre Dame's schedule. It isn't just the teams you play, but when you play them. Every single needle-moving game is in the first freaking 6 weeks of the year. I don't have time with the new quarterback for the O-line to take a month and a half to gel and whatever, and then you lost 3 games. You're out of the playoff, but you gelled after that. That doesn't do anybody any good. So I know a lot of people think this offensive line is going to be awesome and it's going to be the strength of the team and you're going to have guys healthy and they're going to slot in the positions they should be and not where they need to be because 9 other guys have torn ACLs and everything else, whatever. The best thing Notre Dame can do to support whoever that next quarterback is that's going to be low on experience, The best possible thing you could do is have a good offensive line right away and be able to move people. Take pressure off whoever that quarterback is by that O-line moving people early, and you could just hand the ball off and it'll take care of itself to a large extent. You simply do, when you look at the beginning of this schedule, you do not have 4 weeks to be able to have everything gel. You don't have that luxury. You don't have that luxury. So that O-line better be good, healthy, and everybody in the right spot they're going to be right away. Number 6. Jeremiah Love gets really, really banged up and just cannot be the impact player that we need him to be next year. He is your number one number one most talented offensive player by 90 miles, whatever. You got to have that guy healthy, and whatever that usage looks like, I want more usage. Get the guy going on a Heisman campaign. I don't want to wear the tread off the guy, but I need to put him in a position to break more games open a little more often. You got to thread that needle between maximizing him and running the tread too much. And you got to know where that line is, and you got to do it appropriately. But that guy is your most exciting, most electric. Pro Football Focus has him as the number one returning back. Got to be healthy, and then you got to highlight him the right way. You got a new running back coach. How's he going to view those carries and how it's all divided out or whatever? I don't know. We're going to find out. Until one of these receivers does something or whatever, I mean, Love is Notre Dame's best offensive weapon by far. You got to use him the right way, smartly, carefully, effectively, and efficiently. And then number 7, here's the final one. And so if Notre Dame loses 1 or 2 of their first 2 games, I think it's a nightmare. You all know you start in Miami, then you have an off week, then A&M comes to South Bend. You can have all these moving pieces and new parts and a new quarterback going into Miami, and the new defense has all this stuff, right? If you start out 0-2, just imagine the reaction and what this is going to be like if they lose both of those games trying to get everything situated. This season's pretty much over, man. Like, the negativity is going to be off the charts. People are going to go from, look at what Freeman did in this great playoff run, to that was a flash in the pan and he's not that good and we're regressing. You just can't do it. You can't do it. But with all these moving pieces, I could see a nightmare scenario where you start out 0-2 and the whole thing's destroyed 2 weeks in. It'd be 3 weeks in with the break. Even if Notre Dame just loses one of the 2, look at the pressure that was placed on this program when they lost in week 2 last year. The pressure was off the charts. Notre Dame reacted to it well, but it was still heavy-duty pressure. You could not lose again, whatever. You want to do that again with the new quarterback? Tough. And again, I'm going to say, it isn't just who you play. It's about when you play them. And all of Notre Dame's tough games are stacked in the front half of the season. And the back half is an ACC sleep fest. Unbelievably boring back half of the schedule that is just going to be hard to get excited for. Unless you're in playoff position, and then it'll be fun to beat the hell out of those teams they just don't move the needle, man. BC, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, Stanford. Oh, I just fell asleep. Gosh, that's a bad back half. So you're in a position where if you want to try and show year 3 was no fluke and you're going to be back in action, whatever, bro, you can't lose one or both of those first 2 games, in my opinion. You just can't do it. So you got to be ready and have all this stuff cranking early. So those are some of the things that I could see that could go wrong. I would like to know what's not on my list you guys would have on your list. Let me know what I'm missing, what you think of my list. Let me know. Don't forget to check out the merchandise. The link is in the description. You can browse and carouse all the different Always Irish gear. Make sure you head over there and get something for the next tailgate. Thanks for being here.